2019, Google lost the engineers building their most important chip. They didn't quit, they didn't retire, they built a startup. Qualcomm bought it for $1.4 billion. And the chip those engineers designed, the Snapdragon 8 Elite, beats Google in benchmarks every single year. That's not the backstory, that's the whole story. But it started with a number, not a benchmark, a price. Qualcomm charged roughly $150 per flagship chip. Google wanted $65. For that gap, they poached Apple's best engineers, built their own silicon division from scratch, and bet the entire Pixel brand on a factory that was quietly failing them for 4 straight years. 5 chips, 1 obsession. It starts in 2021. Tensor G1, 2021. Google's first decision was to ignore every benchmark on Earth. While Qualcomm and Apple raced for clock speed and synthetic scores, Google wanted something different, a chip that could run data center-grade machine learning models entirely in your pocket. No cloud, no latency, no connection required. That was the philosophy behind Project Whitechapel, and the Tensor G1 was how they proved it. To build it, Google raided Apple's talent pool. Manu Gulati, 8 years building A-series chips. John Bruno, Apple's head of silicon competitive analysis. The G-Chips division had its architects. Then, both of them walked out. By 2019, Gulati and Bruno had left to co-found Nuvia alongside Gerard Williams III, Apple's former chief CPU architect. Google considered acquiring them. Qualcomm moved faster, $1.4 billion. The engineers Google trained now build the chip that beats Tensor every year. Without its architects, Google needed a shortcut. Samsung offered one. The G1 launched on Samsung's 5nm node and immediately did something strange. Most people miss this. Every smartphone on Earth used a single prime core. Google used two Cortex-X1 cores at 2.8 GHz. The theory: 2 cores at moderate frequency drawing less power than 1 core at its thermal ceiling. The reality: 2 Cortex-X1 cores generated heat Samsung's 5nm couldn't handle. The chip throttled within seconds. And to save die space, Google paired those prime cores with Cortex-A76 mid-cores, already 1 generation old at launch. The software, though, was a different story. Magic Eraser removed objects from photos entirely on your device. Face Unblur fused data across multiple camera sensors to rescue motion-blurred faces. Live Translate ran with no signal whatsoever. And HDRNet, Google's complex tone mapping algorithm, was applied to every single frame of 4K video, previously only possible on still photos, never on video, until now. Here's the catch. The Exynos 5123B modem locked onto weak 5G signals and refused to let go, forcing the amplifiers to maximum power hunting for a signal it couldn't hold. Battery drain, heat, dropped calls in areas with full coverage. Google pushed patch after patch. None of it worked. You can't fix silicon with software. Geekbench 5 multi-core, 2,832. Apple A15 that year, 4,695. A deficit of 39.6%. Year 1 of 5. Google knew exactly what the problem was. Year 2, they fixed part of it, without telling anyone what they actually changed. Tensor G2, 2022. Same prime cores, same node, same basic architecture. On paper, Google had spent a year doing almost nothing. That reading was wrong. The change was invisible in marketing materials and ignored at launch. They swapped the mid-cores, Cortex-A76 out, Cortex-A78 in. Stay with me, because this is the thing nobody reported, and it actually saved the Pixel 7. Your phone spends roughly 80% of its active compute time on mid-cores. The constant background work, notifications, browser rendering. The A76 was already aging when Google used it in the G1. Swapping it for the A78, a generation fresher, meaningfully more efficient, quietly rescued the Pixel 7 from repeating the Pixel 6's thermal disaster, without changing anything visible, without a single headline. Most companies would have made that a headline. Google said nothing. The second-generation TPU, codenamed Genero, ran approximately 50% faster on AI tasks. It enabled photo unblur, reconstructing photographs taken years earlier on completely different devices. Old photos, blurry photos, phones people no longer owned, rebuilt locally, without a server. The modem improved too. The Exynos 5300G held signal better and drained standby battery less aggressively. Not perfect, significantly better. But here's what Google didn't tell anyone. Before launch, every supply chain leak, every industry analyst, Every informed source said the same thing. The G2 would arrive on Samsung's new 4nm process. The improvement was expected. The efficiency gains were anticipated. The chip shipped on 5nm, the same node as the G1. Google was forced to acknowledge it publicly. A spokesperson stated the 5nm was retained for purpose-built real-world use cases. The consensus interpretation was simpler. Samsung's 4nm yield rates were so catastrophically low, the chip couldn't be manufactured reliably at scale. The statement wasn't an explanation. It was damage control. Geekbench 5 multi-core, 3,192. Apple A16 that year, 5,491. The deficit widened to 41.8%. Two chips, same factory, same problems underneath. What Google built next was the strangest CPU layout in smartphone history. Tensor G3, 2023. In late 2022, ChatGPT launched. The calculus for every chip on Earth changed overnight. Generative AI wasn't a research paper anymore, and for Google, whose entire tensor philosophy was built around running intelligence locally, the pressure to respond was immediate. The Tensor G3 was that response. It had 9 cores. No smartphone had ever done that. The entire global industry had standardized on 8 so completely that 9 required justification. Google's was this. Running generative AI models required massive parallel processing. Samsung's 4nm still ran hot under that load. A 9th core, distributing the thermal weight differently, bought just enough headroom. The 9th core wasn't innovation. It was a workaround dressed as a feature, but the results were real. The 3rd generation TPU jumped to 27 TOPS across combined workloads, running models 150 times more complex than anything on the Pixel 7. Magic Editor rewrote on-device photo generation entirely. Audio Magic Eraser separated video audio into individual channels, wind, traffic, crowd noise, and let you remove any of them after the fact. Best Take blended multiple group shots so every face had the right expression. These weren't cloud features, they ran on the chip in your hand. Watch for this. It's the central contradiction of the entire Tensor program. 27 TOPS sounds like dominance. On standardized AI benchmarks, the G3 scored 586. Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, 2,254. The TPU was brilliant for Google's own models. For anything outside that ecosystem, it collapsed. The specialization that made Tensor's features possible was the same specialization that made it fragile everywhere else. Then came the benchmark blockade. During the pre-launch review embargo, journalists discovered Geekbench and 3D Mark were both unavailable on the Google Play Store. Review units in hand, embargo active. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 comparisons imminent. The accusation spread instantly. Google was suppressing scores ahead of launch. Google never fully explained it. Geekbench 6 multi-core, 4,429. The deficit dropped to 37.6%, the closest Tensor ever got. Still on Samsung's node, still hot, still throttling. Google's answer to 4 years of overheating was to ship something deliberately slower, and they admitted it. Tensor G4, 2024. Google made a deliberate decision to ship a slower chip, not because of a deadline, not a budget problem, because the alternative was a phone that overheated in users' hands. After the Pixel 6, 7, and 8, all running hot, all drawing the same heat complaints, Google made a calculation: stability over speed. The G4 dropped from 9 cores to 8, not because 8 was better, because 8 ran cooler. Google knowingly nerfed their own flagship before it shipped, and it got worse. The GPU was the Mali G715, identical to the G3's, with a 50 MHz clock bump presented as a hardware upgrade. The TPU was the 3rd generation Rio chip, running at 13 TOPS for the integer operations powering Gemini Nano, carried over entirely unchanged. Same silicon, same architecture, copy-pasted. In GPU stress tests, the brand new 2024 Tensor G4 scored lower than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, a chip Qualcomm released in 2021, 3 years earlier. The gap against the actual 2024 rival reached 45.4%, the widest deficit in Tensor history. Here's the part that makes no sense, until it does. The Pixel 9 was the best Pixel ever made. The Exynos 5400 modem delivered 50% better efficiency than the G3's unit. Years of battery complaints disappeared almost entirely. Gemini Nano ran text, audio, and image processing fully offline. Satellite SOS worked with zero cellular signal. The phone that lost every benchmark worked brilliantly in daily life. Geekbench 6 multi-core, 4,586. The G3 had scored 4,429. A full year of development, 157 extra points. The gap was 45.4%, the worst in 5 years. Because the real chip was never coming from Samsung. Google had already made the call. They just hadn't told Samsung yet. Tensor G5, 2025. Google's internal documents didn't bury the finding. Tensor overheating is the #1 reason for pixel returns. Not software bugs, not camera complaints, heat. The same failure mode in the Pixel 6 in 2021 was still appearing in the Pixel 9 in 2024. 4 generations, 1 root cause, 1 factory. Samsung's nodes leaked current the way old pipes leak water. Constantly, quietly, wastefully. Industry analysis put Samsung's yield rates around 50%, TSMC's equivalent, 90%. For every 2 chips Samsung produced, 1 was defective. Google had been building a flagship on a foundation that failed half the time. The Tensor G5 moved to TSMC's 3nm N3E node. Same foundry as Apple's A series. The switch didn't change a spec sheet. It ended 4 years of hardware failure at the source. Reports indicated Samsung's internal response had a name: the Google incident. An emergency strategy meeting was reportedly convened at vice chairman level. 1 lost client. 1 formal crisis assessment. Google's departure had exposed exactly how fragile Samsung's foundry reputation had become. And the numbers showed it immediately. Multi-core jumped from 4,586 to 6,191, a 35% improvement. Not from new core architecture, purely from manufacturing on a node that functioned. Antutu's CPU score ran 2.3 times higher than the G4. Sustained throttling. The defining failure of G1 through G3 dropped dramatically.